Hey guys, Poppop here. Little health update. I've been diagnosed with hypertensive heart disease. That sounds a lot worse than it actually is. What it is the body and the mind aren't communicating to regulate the blood pressure. My blood pressure is dropping when it shouldn't have. That was causing me to pass out. On medication, I'm doing much better. I want to thank everybody that's asked. Really means a lot to me. Now what you've been waiting on, the car. I know I teased a little short clip a little while back, right before I started getting sick and having difficulty. Thankfully, you've been patient and waiting for this. I know a lot of you have. What it is, a 1940 Chevy Deluxe two-door. This was built back when the Plymouth Prowler first come out, so that's the reason it resembles one a little bit. That's what the original builder was intending. Heard this secondhand from the second owner of the car. The original owner got in a bad accident, totaled the car, started over with a new body and everything. Got so far and said, okay, I'm done, I'm going to get rid of it. I got it from the next guy that had got it after him. Up front, I know you're dying to hear about this. 400 cubic inch small block Chevy, 8.5 to 1 compression. That's right, it is built for this B&M Mega Charger that's sitting on top. This thing has got a lot of power. I would say north of 500 easy. You know, I've had that 500 horsepower wagon. This thing's got a lot more power. Backing that up is two true Carter carburetors. That's right, Carter carburetors, not Edelbrock's. Edelbrock bought out the Carter brand back in the day, and they now produce it under their name. These are actual Carters that are on it. We got a 100 amp chrome alternator. That should be more than enough to keep anything charged while this thing's running. I got a set of Sanderson long zoomies, not the short ones, these are the long ones. They're not coated or anything, so they're going to change colors, as you can see in the one picture. I got these used, so they've already been on a small block, but he decided he wanted the coated kind on there, so he sold these to me at a good price. Couldn't be happier. They sound great. All right, backing this motor up is a turbo 350. That's right, guys, not a turbo 400, not an overdrive, no 700 R4 here. It's a turbo 350. It's been beefed up as much as one can be. Should live, because this is not a drag car, it is a show car. Out back we have a Lincoln Versalis 9-inch rear end. That's right, not a Ford 9, this is a Lincoln 9. The Lincoln's not quite as strong as a Ford. Again, it's open. Shouldn't have any problem with what we're planning on doing with this. More on that later though. Got coilovers in the rear and a cantilever coilover setup up front. I'm going to explain this. There are two coilover shocks sitting in the middle. Extremely long upper control arms. Pivot point is at the frame, so the arm extends past that pivot point to the coilovers. The coilovers push up on the inside, out on the outside. This works incredibly well. Rides great. It's got a rack and pinion steering. No more on that later. We had a little bit of a problem after we made it home from the show. Show we went to, Bethany Christmas Lighting Festival. We didn't make it the whole night. Got too cold. Still don't have a windshield in there. So that means that drive was really icy. Even had old Farmtruck show up at the show, brought his boat and his truck both out there. Big hit. Everybody loved it. We had originally planned to have this on the road a lot sooner than this, but of course with the health problems, that just wasn't happening. My son and I got out. We got some high octane in this. Had to have both carburetors rebuilt, and we had to drain the tank before we put the fuel in it. The gas was worse than the varnish that come out of it. Just old, nasty gas. Completely gummed these up. It's got a Holly Blue pump on it. Way too much pressure for what we have on our setup. Even with the regulator on, with the car running, it's 10 psi. It really needs a return line to lower the pressure more. It's got a spun aluminum street rod tank in it, so return lines are not an option right now. Might build something later. I can't find anything that'll fit in the frame rails on this. We got it out there. We had a blast. Talked to a lot of people that really enjoyed the car. A lot of the old timers saw, you know, hey, this is a build in progress. This guy's got it going somewhere with this. This is not finished, not a rat rod, even though a couple of people were like, man, that's a cool rat rod. No, it's not finished, not a rat rod. kind of getting there, kind of get going. We had a little setback when we got back. I'm going to tell you about that after we show these video clips. Hope you enjoy them. My son took these as we was getting it started up for the first time and got it tuned on it enough to get it there and back. We didn't get it tuned all the way, didn't adjust timing, set it, nothing. Just got it running, drive it there, drive it back, done. Hope you enjoyed these little clips. Now on to the finish of the story. Like I said, we're a mile and a half, maybe 2 miles away from this show. On the way there, we had a great run. No windshield, of course. I had my glasses on, and youngest, he had a face shield on, so he was doing a lot better than I was. I was freezing. My 4 ears I felt like they had been stuck in a frozen lake or something. It was horrible, but at the same time wonderful. This car's got a ton of power. We were only driving 25, 30 mile an hour on the way there. I goosed it, not even full throttle, and then really lit the rear tires up and just started moving. Ton of power. Great running motor, even though it's not tuned all the way. Decided to leave a little early with my heart problems. The cold was starting to get to me. I was starting to have breathing problems and stuff. I said, not well yet, but I'm getting better. On the way back, had a fun drive home. The headlights I got, they're motorcycle headlights, are behind the grill, not bright enough. I've got plans to change if I keep it. You'll understand that here in a minute. Had a guy talk to me, had a great idea for mounting windshield in it. Do it like a Model A where it folds out. Mount the glass in a frame on a hinge and a pivot, and then weld me in some flat stock inside for it to seal to. I thought that was a great idea. If we keep it, we're going to do that. I'll talk about the plans if we keep it. We got it home, run great all the way, was sitting idling, no problem. Backed the vet out because it was sitting under the carport, so I could get this in the garage. Went to pull it, or did a little quick video that's at the end there, the walk around. Went to pull it inside, and it died on me. Wouldn't crank back up. Battery's almost completely gone. Had to jump start it to get it there. Was able to get it to turn over to get it home, but it just didn't have enough to get it started to get back in the garage. It was overheating. I didn't check coolant before we left to make sure that it hadn't lost any or anything. My fault completely. I think that's probably the reason it ended up stalling out, because it was so hot. It was going to jump start it off the vet. As you know, a C3 vet. The battery's behind the driver's seat under the floor there. Couldn't get to the battery and didn't have cables long enough to stretch that far anyway, because battery in the 40s all the way in the trunk. Well, hooked cables up and thought, well, you know, it'd just take a second. I'll hook them up to the positive on the alternator. Yeah, I know, that's not a very good idea. I burnt the, the cable slipped and shorted out against the case. Burnt the wire in two leading from the alternator down to the battery. I know, not the smartest idea. I was going to let it charge up a minute. Wasn't planning on sitting there and trying to crank it off of it that way. Of course, the vet quit instantly when that happened. I'll explain that a little more. We decided we was going to push it in. We got side by side and got to where we could push it. The steering come loose. Rack and pinion. I don't know if the bolt wasn't tight enough or what happened, but it just started spinning. Wouldn't turn. Grabbed all the keys, went in the house, called it a night, got up the next day. I get out there and tighten the nut on the sleeve for the rack and pinion, got steering back. It wasn't loose, so I'm not sure if it's the wrong coupler or what. Realized we'd left the fuel pump on. It's got a Holly Blue in it. Way too much fuel pump, as I said. Pushes right past the needle and seat, floods the carbs, floods the intake. So the crankcase is full of 91 octane right now. Have to do an oil change, drain it, and put some fresh oil in it for sure. Anyway, we get it back in the garage, get on the vet, get it working on it, and chasing the wire down. There's two fusible links down by the starter. I checked, I had power on one past link, the other one didn't, and got really worried because I got the other side of the fusible link, didn't have power there. Gave it a little tug and it just come right apart. The only thing holding it together was the insulation. Burnt the wire in two. So instead of trying to repair that wire and put in a new fusible link, worrying if there's another weak point or another burn through point, I had some 8 gauge with an 80 amp circuit breaker sitting around. Just wired in a heavier gauge wire because, of course, got stereo in the vet with a small amp. That'll help keep that battery charged, help keep that amp powered up real well. Anyway, it's back running. I even drove it today. Run up to McDonald's, wasn't feeling too good. Grabbed me some cheap nuggets and come back home. Didn't feel up to fixing anything. But the vet's doing fine. Now on the 40, it's going to need a new set of rear tires. $400 a piece, an unknown time to get. I've been told 6 to 8 months on Hoosiers. I'm not sure on the Mickeys. Again, a 33 1950 big tire. So they don't produce a whole bunch all at once. May have to wait on those. Plus, you know, $800, that's a lot of money right out of pocket. It's going to need a new battery. That battery's had it. You know, it's been in there too long. Weak battery to start with. Not holding enough charge. Not got enough cranking on it anymore to turn that motor over. First got this car, it had a little mini torque starter on it. Burned up real quick. Had it rebuilt. It burned up again. Went got a big block starter. Ain't had a problem since. It's got plenty of clearance for that big starter, so I was really happy to swap that out. Car cranks no problem when we've got a battery. Excuse me. Now on to the steering. Like I said, it's got steering again. If I keep the car, like I said, I was so frustrated. I told anybody offer me 10 grand or more, you can have it. I was so mad. Broke my vet. It didn't want to work right. It couldn't get it in the garage. I was frustrated. If I keep it, I'm going to pin that steering. There's no provision on there that I can tell to keep it from slipping if it comes loose again. Drill through the end, drill through the sleeve, put a bolt through it, pin. no chance of it slipping. Can't find a fuel tank to fit this. It's got a little spun aluminum street rod tank. Probably end up having to build one. Never built a fuel tank before, but I've burned my share of metals, so I think I can do that. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this update. Hope you enjoyed the video and like the car. Remember, subscribe. I'm going to try to get back on making videos. I'm starting to feel better, starting able to get out and do more. Have a great evening.